Hello, hello. Am I audible to you? Hello.
Ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you. All right. I will share my slides. Hello. I'm not able to hear any one of you.
Ma'am, can start our program with a prayer song and a common welcome address, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, now you are audible.
Ma'am, we have a
Yes.
formal introduction. Then you can start your presentation, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
A very happy morning. On behalf of the organizing committee, I cordially welcome you all for the second day of International Conference on Food and Agricultural Integration for a Resilient World, Navigating Global Challenges, focusing on innovative approaches and collaborative solutions to address the present issues in food security and sustainable agriculture. God's grace is a light that leads us forward. Let us call upon our choir to render thanks and to praise God through prayer song. Let us all rise up for prayer. There shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. There shall be seasons refreshing, sent from the Savior of God. Showers of blessing, showers of blessings we need. Mercy drops from the sun falling, but for the shepherds we plead. But for the shepherds we plead. But for the shepherds we plead. Thank you, choir, for rendering a prayer song which has enriched our spirit and offered a perfect gift to our event. A warm welcome is the beginning of a beautiful journey. With these words, I now invite Dr. K. Karthika, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Home Science, to welcome the gathering. A very good morning to everyone present here. Optimism is the faith
that leads to achievement. Anything can be achieved with hope and confidence. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the second day of the International Conference organized by the PG and Research Department of Home Science, Fatima College, Madurai. To begin with, I would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to our esteemed secretary, Dr. Sister Ignatius Mary, our dynamic principal, Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, and our vice principals, whose vision and leadership have been a constant source of motivation for all of us. Today, we have the extraordinary privilege of welcoming a distinguished leader and accomplished scholar and a visionary in the field of public health and nutrition, Dr. Sirimavu Nair. Her academic journey began at the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda, where she completed her MSc and PhD in 1993, embarking on a career that has since shaped both national and global nutrition frameworks. Dr. Nair stands as a remarkable professional with over 3 decades of dedicated work in teaching, research, program evaluation, and a large-scale public health project management. Her contributions have strengthened systems, transformed communities, and created meaningful improvements in nutrition and health outcomes across India and beyond. Her expertise in designing projects, developing strategic plans, building partnerships, influencing policy, and guiding complex public health initiatives reflects not just her knowledge, but her deep commitment to service. She has led collaborative programs involving government bodies, bilateral agencies, and civil society organizations, especially in addressing micronutrient deficiencies, anemia, and wide-ranging public health concerns. We feel deeply honored to welcome a leader who has effectively influenced policymakers, administrators, and program managers at national and international levels. Her voice and vision have contributed to progressive policy shifts and strengthened public health delivery across multiple regions. At present, Dr. Nair serves in several prestigious roles. She is the scientist and chair for fortification and nutrition at the National Panel of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare from 2023 to 2026. She also serves on the International Products Panel on products for young children, and she is a technical advisor for rice fortification under the Ministry of Food and Public Distribution. Her presence in multiple technical advisory groups continues to guide India's nutrition landscape with scientific precision and thoughtful leadership. Her global collaborations speak volumes about her influence. She has worked closely with FAO, WHO, the African Union, Cornell University in USA, institutions in China, as well as Nutrition International, UNICEF, WHO, Southeast Asia regions, GAIN, PATH, NIN, ICMR, Tata Trust, and many more. Each partnership reflects her belief in collective progress and evidence-based solutions. Dr. Nair has also contributed substantially to strengthening academic and institutional networks. She has executed 10 MOUs, 7 international and 3 national since 2012, and she has completed 12 major projects since 2003. As a respected academic guide, She has mentored numerous postgraduate and doctoral scholars. Her scholarly output includes 30 research papers in the past 5 years alone, with 16 of them appearing in Scopus Index journals. Welcoming Dr. Nair today reflects a deep regard for her distinguished expertise, impactful leadership, and lifelong service to public health. Her virtual presence adds immense academic value to this forum and inspires learners, researchers, and professionals who strive towards excellence. With deep respect and genuine admiration, I extend a warm and wholehearted welcome to Dr. Silma Nair, and we are truly honored to have you with us today, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your kind words and introduction. At this
I would like to
outset,
welcome our head of the department, Dr. S. Shanti, whose commitment, teamwork, and tireless efforts contribute immensely to the success of this conference. Welcome, ma'am. My heartfelt welcome goes to my wonderful colleagues from the Department of Home Science, whose dedication, enthusiasm, and collaborative spirit enrich every endeavor we take up together. I also extend a warm welcome to all the faculties and student participants from various colleges. Finally, a warm welcome to my dear students from the Department of Home Science, whose dedication and hard work have played a key role in making this international conference possible. Once again, a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your gracious and heartfelt welcome. As the saying goes, a good beginning makes a good ending. Your warm words of welcome have truly given us the best beginning for today's event. A good session opens the mind, sparks curiosity, and inspires action. Now it's time to begin our technical session 2 on the NFSA addressing hunger and poverty based on SDG 2, the Indian scenario. May I now respectfully invite Dr. Sirimavu Nair, scientist and chair, Nutrition and Fortification, FSSAI, New Delhi, to take over the session and share her valuable insights. We welcome you through the online mode, ma'am.
good morning. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Am I audible to all of you?
Ma'am, very good morning. I'm Dr. Shanti.
Yes.
Nice to see you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you
Am I
so much.
audible to you?
Yes, you are audible to me.
Your volume can be a little bit increased. Can I
Okay.
increase your volume? Okay. So all the best, ma'am. See you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shanti. At this outset, I would like to thank the organizers of Fatima College, Madurai. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sister Mary Fatima, and who is the principal of Fatima College, and Dr. S. Shanti, who is the head of the college, current head of the college, and organizing secretaries, Dr. Priyalata and Dr. Helen, and all the committee members, and my dear students. It is a warm feeling to be connected far across. I was to travel, but due to various circumstances, I am not able to travel. And therefore, I suggested I would join online. Thank you for inviting me. And I hope the lecture gives you a good insight about what is nutrition security, what is food security. I have made it as simple as possible, and I will be sharing my email ID. All students can also ask me any doubts via email. So I am going to share my screen. I will also leave the presentations with Dr. Helen and Dr. Shanti. Once again, thank you for inviting me. Am I audible to all of you? I will be switching off the video so that we can have a good streamlining. So thank you again for inviting me on this international conference organized by the Department of Home Science. So my area of talk today would be on the National Food Security Act, addressing hunger and poverty based on SDG 2, the Indian scenario. So this is a collective amount of work of approximately, say, 20 years. And I have tried collating the best possible. So let me start with what we all know about Sustainable Development Goals. Since we are speaking about ending the hunger and poverty, Sustainable Development Goals number 2 helps us to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Despite the gains in reducing the poverty rate, India is still having a lot of issues with anemia, stunting, wasting, malnutrition, etc. We already also have started a lot of initiatives at national as well as aiming certain specific goals to be achieved. And this has been a current program which is also running with the government at various levels and various ministries. So moving from SDG 2, we talk about zero hunger. And when we talk about that, we need to talk about food nutrition security. As yesterday, the speakers also have talked to you about the 4 pillars of food nutrition security, the food availability, the food accessibility, the utilization and stability. I do not want to enter more into that because you already have heard about it. So we all need to have good food, and at all times we should have good health, physical, social, and also we should have good access. Hello. We also should have good access. Hello. I hope the slides are moving. Okay. 3/4 of the world's people are unable to afford healthy diets, especially people who live in low and lower middle income countries. And even you will see that people who are in high income countries also are being affected. But majority of the population who are affected are the upper middle income countries. And the next would be the lower middle income countries. The largest population who are affected, you would see the lower middle income countries, which is about 59% of the people. Now, updates for many countries have been made it possible to estimate the hunger in the world with greater accuracy in the year 2020 and 2025 to find out what is coming up by 2030. In particular, the accessible data which have been allowed was the undernourishment estimates from China, which they calculated from the year 2000. And from there, the shift which has been happening of undernourishment in the world has been calculated. The world is not on track to currently achieve zero hunger. And if the recent trends continue, the number of people affected by hunger will surpass 840 million by 2030, or it will approximately have 10% of the population. This scenario, without talking or taking into account the potential impacts of COVID-19, is bringing an alarming situation, and therefore a reassessment of hunger in Asia and Africa has been conducted. Despite the reassessment of the extent of hunger in China, the world's undernourishment is 381 million people suffering, who are all found in Asia. And we'll also see more than 250 million people who live in Africa are also affected. Let us look at the data which have come from FAO in their report of 2025 on global food, nutrition and security. What they have found is the hunger is declining, but it is very slowly declining. Approximately 8.7% from 2022 to 8.2% in 2024 are being affected, but the progress is there. It is little slow. 2.3 billion people are having no food access and have no much of work which is available for them to carry on. Estimated about 28% of the global population are moderately or severely food insecure. Healthy diets are out of reach. 2.6 billion people cannot afford one full meal a day. Nutrition targets are off track. Progress is seen on stunting, breastfeeding, but nothing to reach the 2030 global tracks which are there. Inequalities are persisting more. In rural areas, women are very badly affected by food insecurity. Global food price inflation is the major concern from 2021 because that was the post-COVID scenario and we were still trying to recuperate from that. And therefore, the global food inflation has gone up to 2.3%. And from 2020, it has come down to 13.6% in 2023. And a 10% hike is seen where people are becoming more food insecure. Now, keeping that scenario in mind, there was an assessment done which is talking about the global estimates which are currently being seen, and the world's prevalence is being affected. And they can see that if you look at the data, you can see that the prevalence of undernourishment and the percentage of people affected are somewhat going hand in hand. And a number of people who are affected are continuously being stable. Slight decrease you can see in both the cases, both the blue lines and the orange lines. You can very clearly see that. So this is a data from right from 2001 to 2024, and this is the scenario in the world which is happening. Now, with all that little bit of notable improvement, what we are seeing on the graphs, when we look at what is that Western Asian countries and sub-Saharan countries, Southeast Asian regions are being affected, what we are seeing is that there is still 0.2% of people affected in Africa. In Asia, you can see it is on the negative side, 0.6%. Southeast Asia, negative side again, 0.3%. So we come under Southeast Asian countries, and we are exactly in Southern Asia. You can see minus 1.2, Western Asia 0.2, Latin America and South America are 0.2 and 0.4. So the upwards arrows which you are seeing is the deterioration, and the lowerwards arrow which is in the green which you are seeing are the improvement. So there is improvement, but the improvements are very slow. So food insecurity, we can say, has gradually declined at the global level since 2021. And it is not that everything is very clear or everything is excellent. And when you compare all the countries, North America and Europe, you can see the first one, you can see this, across the regions, the scenario of the world is on the left side, and on the right side, across the regions, what is happening. So North America and Europe coming down from 8.1%, and Latin America 25.8%, Asia 23%, Africa 36%. So these are prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity, which is happening. There is a decline which is happening in Asian countries, especially, which is shown in green line. That is the scenario. And now let us look at what are the impact of people who are not able to afford a healthy diet. So what you are seeing in the next slide will be the healthy diet is out of reach for 2.6 million people. And what you will be seeing is approximately 60% of the population is being affected. That is the number of people who are unable to afford any kind of a healthy diet which is there. And at the same time, you can see the lower line, which is proportion of the population who are unable to afford a healthy diet. So approximately 40% of people not able to afford a healthy diet, 60% of the people who are being affected, and they are not able to have a proportionate good meal. These you see, which is increasing in low income countries and lower middle income countries, excluding India. And the data which is shown will be from 2017 to 2024. So all these are data which have been collated from FAO, that is Food Agricultural Organization, because they keep doing a data update on their dashboards. And what you are seeing is from 2017, the yellow colored ones are India, which is the second one after the green. So what you are seeing is there is a decrease which is happening, and from 61.72%, it has come to 58.4%. So there is a good change, but the change is very slow. Now, notable progress has been made in reducing child stunting and increasing exclusive breastfeeding, and the world is not on the track to achieve the global targets. Every country is trying to do the best what they can do to make this more affordable and more reachable to all populations. So what we are seeing is that they are not able to achieve all the targets. Now, when you look at low birth weight, exclusive breastfeeding, stunting, wasting, overweight, anemia, and obesity, which are the nutrition targets and the nutrition indicators which are said, by 2025, this is the scenario. And the targets estimated to go to 2030 are also kept in timeline out here, but we have not come to the best levels of achievement. We are getting some results. We are very much trying and getting some results. And therefore, we can say the global scenario is becoming better, but we have not yet reached that level where we can say that everybody is getting equal amount of good food, healthy diets. Now, what are the reasons for this? So when we look into the reasons, what we see is there is a food price inflation which is happening. So why there is a food price inflation? Especially there are various factors, the climate, the procurement, the yield from various countries, the exchanges which happens, the exports, imports which happen. So over the past years, you will see that food price has become a very big concern across various regions, especially after the COVID time. And the low and middle income economies have been very much affected, and the depreciation of local currencies. So when I say depreciation of local currencies, students can remember we had demonetization. So if you look at various countries across Europe, they also had these demonetization process. So they did an internal influential currency exchanges, and that's how they maintained their economy. So we followed a pattern, something to have the demonetization. It was not very welcome, but it helped us to sustain certain things. So the depreciation of local currencies were the first concern. Then the inflow of foreign capital got reduced. Credit ratings which came affected our inflation. The war situations in Ukraine affected very much, especially the agricultural markets, the blockades of trading routes, because those are the routes where shipments are usually done. And these are done in a very high trading areas and trading levels. So the war has also played its own role, and therefore the food price and inflation of this has become very high. And that is where the common public is not able to afford a healthy diet. Let us also look at the factors which are responsible. So food price inflation. So we understood why does it matter. Political stability. The wars are coming up because everybody wants to become the leader of the world. Macroeconomic stability, that is the largest countries who are the richest countries. You are now listening to more of what Mr. Donald Trump is doing and how that is affecting the world. And that we can take as an example for you to understand the macroeconomic stability. And the food security and nutrition are the major factors which are coming in. So, in the next slide, what we are seeing is how this overall inflation and food price inflation has affected the population. So, FAO has made a calculation on this and they have come up from their data. They looked at consumer price index versus food price index. So from the consumer price index to food price index, they could check how the change is happening. So in December 2020, the food price inflation on a year-to-year base was 2.3%. But when you look at January, you can see it is 13.6%. So though we say that we are progressing, the food price inflation has affected very much the population. And that, if you look at in 2022 October, the consumer price index it was 9.6, and we are now not able to get back to that level. So there is a big gap and a big difference which you see. Again, this data is right from 2019 to 2024. So we wanted to look at what happened after the COVID situation. Now, as I said, we could see what are the major reasons and major factors which contributed. So why food inflation? Governments have spent 17 trillion in fiscal support to overcome the COVID-19 situation, where consumption pattern accelerated in the late 2022. So though the government did spend a lot of money trying to address the issues and concerns, the consumption had the impact, and that came up in 2022. Now look at how COVID-19 impact brought certain changes on value chains, that rising energy prices, the war, the extreme weather. So these were the few impacts which affected. So there is a change, or the inflation is being affected because of the prices of all commodities which go, and there is no control of weather. We cannot control the weather situation, and that was the second impact. Adding to that was the dollar story. There's a strong appreciation of the dollar, which came by more than 20% compared to low middle income countries, whose currencies are compared always to understand, are we on the right growth trajectory? And you can see that the countries are being affected. So the 20% change which you see in the middle income countries are being affected by the situations of the dollar, especially Asian countries and African countries. In Asia, in Africa, sub-Saharan countries more are affected compared to India. The massive monetary creation which supported COVID-19 policies, the US Fed and added 2.2 trillion US dollars in 4 years of time. So this 4 years from 2019 to 2022 had a big impact in controlling the global food trade and the global policies which got affected, because that is where the funding affected, or the massive funding affected the promotion of food prices. Now, the FAO also looked at the domestic food inflation versus global food commodity prices. So what they found from January 2019 to November 2024 was the COVID-19 started in March 2020, and the beginning of the war in Ukraine was in January 2022. And at the end of COVID-19, that is somewhere March 2023, you can see how the graphs are going up and coming down. So the food price index, the first one is the orange line, which you can see, which is from January 19 to 24. There was an increase, but this increase was a bearable, slow increase. People could adjust to that. But you see the green line, which is going up and down. By the time when it was war situation in March 2022, it affected the price commodity very high. And then the war and the COVID ending together slightly came down. So the FAO price index, which you now see, is almost touching back. So there is an improvement which is happening, and the situations are becoming better. The food price inflation, if you see, the consumer price index, which is affecting low income countries, lower middle income countries, upper middle income countries, and high income countries, and the world, is what is being shown in the next slide. Now you can see the most affected one is the low income countries. The second ones are the lower middle income and upper middle income countries. So the each and every country is being affected, and therefore the global scenario has become to this level. So when you say that, we look at food price versus food security. What is the food price highest in low income countries, impacting more households and their income? They cannot spend much money, and that is their purchasing power is being affected. And that's where the whole process is changing, where food price versus food security concerns are there, and it negatively impacts the food security and nutrition. The association between food prices and food security varies across countries and groups. So you can see plus 10% changes which had in the food prices have affected 3 different stages, plus 3.5% in overall severe moderate food insecurity, plus 4% in severe and moderate food insecurity for women, and plus 5.5% in prevalence of severe wasting among children, especially under 5 years of age. So when we look at nutritional vulnerability, or when we talk of nutrition security, we always look at women and children, especially pregnant, lactating mothers and children under 5 years. Those are our emergency nutrition indicators. And when they affect in a population or in a community, we understand that there is inflation affecting, or there is insecurity slowly coming in. There are various other indicators, but we are talking of how we look at this generally. So from the global scenario, I would like to now come to make you understand how did India try to adjust this. So India had certain visions. From 2013, we tried out the Nutrition Food Security Act, which we wanted to do. And we brought it as a National Food Security Act so that everybody gets equally the at least a good food or affordable food. So this has been implemented, and the act was to have the enforcement to have legal entitlements, so that we wanted to address first the hunger, and we wanted that nobody should be sleeping hungry at any day. So the food security program was from welfare of right-based approach. That is, people in the country are entitled to receive food grains at subsidized price rates to targeted public distribution system, which we call as our local fair price shop or ration shops. Keeping in frame, a life cycle approach has been done by the NFSA, which includes midday meal scheme, integrated child development services, which covers 75% rural and 50% urban population. This is now slightly increased. The Parliamentary Act, which was signed into law on 12 September 2013, to be re-evoked in July 2013. It was a retroactive process, and the NFSA was implemented in all states UTIs on all India basis. The maximum coverage is approximately 81.35 crores of people, and 80 crores of them have been covered under NFSA for subsidized food prices. So people would, when I say subsidized food prices, people would get 1 rupee, 2 rupee grains at the shop, at the fair price shop, and they can purchase rice and wheat at that particular price. So the schemes under NFSA was to ensure food security and welfare with respect to life cycle approaches. The targeted public distribution system was to have provision of food grains, rice, wheat at subsidized prices to the AAY and priority households, which are as per their entitlements. So we have taken consideration as 5,000 rupees monthly income for a household, and we have made these allocations. And to ensure the food security, what we have done is we have made partially their nutritional requirements also. I'll come to that a little later. Then we introduced midday meal programs and provided hot cooked meals to all children from class 1 to 8 in the beginning to government and government aided schools. And to enhance their enrollment, this helped. They could come to the school, the attendance improved, their nutritional status, especially of the primary school children, improved. And that's where the program became better and effective. That was rolled out through the public distribution system, and that was through the education department. The target public distribution system was carried out by the public distribution system itself. Then we had the ICDS, where we are providing meals below 6 years of children and a take-home ration to pregnant mothers and lactating mothers. Then we had Indira Gandhi Matritwa Sahyog Yojana, which is conditional cash transfer, where pregnant and lactating mothers are entitled to receive not less than 6,000 rupees per pregnancy. So some of these national nutrition strategies were aimed to accelerate the decline of malnutrition in India, and National Nutrition Mission, which was also affecting the growth of children, as well as also to check the pilferage of the food, that is from the ration places, it should go directly to the people who are consumers, and trying to bring betterment. It was the aim which was done, so that the National Nutrition Mission monitors growth of children as well as checks the pilferage of the food. Poshan Abhiyan, which has been launched in 2017-2018, aimed to reduce stunting, undernutrition, anemia, and lower birth weight babies. As I said, the AAY cards which were provided, Antyodaya Anna Yojana, which is to provide food at subsidized prices to poor families. Integrated Child Development scheme which was kept for 0 to 6 years, pregnant mothers, adolescent girls, and they wanted to also been addressing the comprehensive care which can be given through the Anganwadi services, the midday meal I already spoke, and the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandan Yojana. So these were the programs which were rolled out in India on basis of the performance of status, where we could try to address the union territories and all places on SDG 2 to bring betterment and to zero down the hunger. So these are programs which are going on. It is bringing some betterment, but the need to ensure nutrition security is to keep in mind the SDG practice which we want to do in 2030 and to receive that and bring good health and well-being to people. So what did we gain finally is the recommendations which we are adopting. These recommendations are to end hunger, achieve food security, and also this automatically brought in SDG 17 as partnership goals, which you will see in the next slide. And this they carried out in collaboration with Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Public Distribution, and the World Food Programme, which is working as a emergency approach. They are the ones who brought in central sector scheme for rice fortification, saying that at least one meal we can provide to everybody, where we can add at least 2 to 3 nutrients or as per what we have mandated for our own fortification purposes. So there was a large scientific deliberation happening at the Prime Minister's office, and they took together a decision to address all these vulnerabilities. Let us put food fortification as one of the strategies, and let us try to bring in betterment in the anemia situation. So the current situation we are in is 56% of anemia on an average, prolonging across the country. So there were specific strategic outcomes which were designed, which was to enhance efficiency at national food security safety nets. Then the food baskets which were to be taken care by the ICDS, and the developing countries to strengthen the capacities. So wherever strengthening capacity happens, the World Food Programme people have to come in and they take over and assess the situation and start making provisions from the global funds. So this enhanced efficiency of national food safety helped in improving and bringing best practices in the public distribution system. And we have now developed an EPOS, which is biometric system, to help to reduce the pilferage, to reduce the corruptions. All that has been taken care. And with all that in progress, we are slowly moving. And when we look at what is happening at the various places, we are seeing that every country is being affected by malnutrition, and at least some countries are only having single burden, some countries have double burden of malnutrition, and some countries have triple burden of malnutrition. So this data has been taken from the Global Nutrition Reports, and 2018 Hunger Index was the severity at that time, and later on this improved completely and has been taken care completely, and that is the situation which is now improving. So India ranks 103rd position out of 119 countries with a score of 31.1, indicating the suffering level of hunger was very high. So this was a scenario by which we considered that we need to address our people and bring betterment to our people. So this scenario is the one which we need to keep in mind to achieve the SDG 2030 goals and try to improve further. So we all understood that these are the indicators which we are looking for. So malnutrition, all of you are very well aware, is defined as deficiencies or excess imbalances, undernutrition, stunting, wasting, underweight, micronutrient deficiencies which are hidden, overweight, obesity, diet-related disease, etc. are the ones you will further see which are impacting. And you saw the statistics, more than 2.8 billion people are now being completely affected by this whole, and 41 million children under the age of 5 are being also affected. So these are all statistics which are across the world and has been taken care. So when children are affected, usually UNICEF comes in and they create a program and they make certain determinants to address, because they work more closely with children. So there is a concept framework which is used for understanding the determinants of child undernutrition, and household food insecurity is the one which has been maximally affected, and this has a major role to play in the community nutrition portfolio. So when we say if people are able to have food, that we come down to the underlying major cause, which is the household food insecurity. The inadequate dietary intake or disease, underlying causes, household food insecurity, and basic causes are inadequate financial situation, socio-cultural, economic situations, education, employment. There are so many factors which are affected, and all these are completely interrelated, and this affects the child very much, and the child who is to progress as a citizen is also being affected. So the maternal and child health or maternal and child under nutrition is to be taken complete care when we design such programs. So how do we address this? That is where we had the National Food Security Act coming in, and we can use, India has a large public distribution system. As I said, 80 crores of people are being benefited. So the targeted public distribution system which we have has been since 1990s, and in 1997 it was made as a targeted system. Main objective is to support lowest quintile income families to buy food grains at very low prices to improve their nutritional status and food security through the fair price shops. So this is just a slide to show you, the next one to show you the evolution of public distribution system in India from 1942, where no rations were given. This is prior to our independence. Now we have reached in 2013 to have a National Food Security Act, which is helping us to improve and access food grains. Now we are also having buffer stock, and we are able to, in 2025, we are able to give these provisions to neighboring countries when there is war or when there is a situation which is bad. The public distribution system flow is right from the farmer to the central government to the state government. From there, it goes to the district administration, to blocks, to godowns, to fair price shops and beneficiaries. So we are the beneficiaries who are getting the end product at the end of the day. So this is just to show you how the system is. And the next slide is how this is being procured. So we have the ration cards which have been designed as 3 major card bases based on the income of the household: APL, BPL, and AAY. This most of you are aware of. So that is the responsibility of the central government to the state government, and the Antyodaya Anna Yojana and PHH priority households are given 35 kilograms of food grains per household per month, at the price where it is specified for the priority households, and they will receive 5 kg of food grains per person per month. That is how it is calculated. So there are benefits of these which helped us to address hunger. So we do not have people dying because of hunger or people not able to sleep because of hunger. Now we have that one card, one nation system where anywhere you cross across the country, you can access with your ration card, you can access the food or the food grains. So the reforms were many: to have door-to-door step delivery, to have ICT tools. We modified them. Now we have an EPOS system. We have social audit. We have vigilance committees in the village, state, district, block levels. Establishment of grievance redressal mechanism is there. So you all have a ration card at home. You can take the card and look at the left page. There is a toll-free number given. When you ring, maybe somebody may not pick it up, but they will ring you back because you are in that queue system, and they'll ask you back how or what problem are you facing. So this information you can also share across in your villages and in your urban scenarios also. So we have now digitization, database. Ration cards have Aadhaar sealing. It is connected and linked to the Aadhaar. It has an online allocation of the food grains, and grievance mechanisms helps us to address all the issues. So this will ensure us the distribution of food grains in more efficient manner and provides leakages when transportation occurs. So the PDS system helps us to reduce hunger, malnutrition, and NFSA enactment through these TPDS functions help us to address the gaps in dietary diversity. And India also has looked at the dietary diversity scores. The minimum dietary diversity scores for women, for children, etc. had been worked out, and there is a regular uptake which goes on into these data, and these data are assessed regularly. So the dietary diversity scores are worked out, and they are used as a proxy tool to measure consumption of varied food groups, which can be given in the entire day meals and promote good health. So this helps us to come to the conclusions that what are we consuming or what are we every day taking as diets can be calculated. So we have 3 modalities to this: household dietary diversity score, which will talk to us in 24-hour dietary recall. They are quantifiable, and that tells us whether the household has improved or not. Minimum dietary diversity score for women, that is 15 to 49 years, at least 5 out of 10 food groups should be consumed in the previous day and night. Proxy, that is a proxy indicator to reflect the micronutrient inadequacy of the women's diets. We have under 5 children, so we look at infant young child feeding dietary diversity score, and if they have consumed at least 4 out of 7 food groups the previous day or night, has to be calculated. So these are some of the methods and tools by which we calculate and find out how are we taking enough diet? Are we having varied diets? Are we having different types of cereals and pulses and vegetables, fruits, meat, or egg products, which is to be consumed? So we also had something called as concurrent evaluation of the NFSA program. These are some of the results which I'm showing, which we carried out in Gujarat. So we looked at the eldest women who has been identified as a household head, and if by her name, if the ration card is connected, then there is additional provisions given to the lady because she runs the house. So there are cash entitlements attached to that. Sample food grains are displayed at the FBS or not, that is being checked. And is there any foreign particles or people adjust weight by adding small stones to the grains, etc. Is that happening or not? That has been also assessed. And average food grain quantity consumed by the households by per capita has been found out. And cash transfers are happening or not in the system also has been checked. Underweighing, overweighing was very low or not reported by any of the districts in Gujarat, and the EPOS system was functioning comparatively good, and it was used as 100% usage. We did have initially a lot of trouble, and then so this was parallelly conducted in all states in India and union territories and taken phase wise, phase 1 and phase 2. So immediate action plans were carried out so that we immediately improve the system. But this was a system which we were giving the diets which are high in cereals so that we were addressing food. Now comes food as versus the nutrition security. So our diets are rich in cereals. That is our major crops are rice and wheat. And that has been considered. And based on that, we looked at what was the status of anemia in our country. And we found that children, women, and men are equally affected. We had severe, moderate, mild, normal cutoffs, which have been addressed as per our system. And we found that from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5, this was not a good scenario. We reached 58 to 67 for children, 53 to 57 for women, 22 to 25 for men, as anemia was precipitating across India. And this was consensus carried out by the NFHS survey, and NIN was also involved in this assessment. So what we found was 70% of school children had iron deficiency anemia. 50 to 70% folic acid deficiency was found. 57% of preschool children had subclinical vitamin A deficiency. The goiter control program is helping to address iodine deficiency across the country. And 70% of the population have micronutrient intake, which was less than 50% of the RDA. So micronutrient deficiencies usually are not visible so fast unless and until it brings out certain symptoms very clearly. I'm not going into the details of that since you already do all this in your regular coursework. So keeping this as a status or what we saw in the population, we decided that we need to go for food fortification as one of the strategies despite giving these grains in the public distribution system. So when we say micronutrient deficiencies, those are hidden hunger, those are vulnerabilities which are not very shown in the early stages. So what you are seeing is a picture of the globe across where hidden hunger is calculated on daily assessment and how they perform. So you can see India is in reddish color. In certain parts of Africa, you can see the red color, and in some other portions in scattered regions. But you will see most of the countries are definitely affected. South America has comparatively lesser, and North America is comparatively better. So all this is a very big reality. These are not very encouraging. Vitamin and minerals are required for every day to ensure good health and fight the disease. India has a very high burden of anemia, vitamin A and D deficiencies. So simple diets which are there or staple foods are with low consumption of fruits, vegetables, exacerbate these micronutrient deficiencies. So we may be taking rice and any one vegetable or something to feed us in the normal situation, but that does not address the micronutrient deficiencies, and micronutrient deficiencies are definitely needed to bring in the nutrient security. So food fortification of staples would improve both food and nutrition security. And therefore, the government of India decided in 2015, we'll roll out the food fortification program. By 2016, the decision was completed. And by 2018, the first gazette was rolled out. And that was going to talk on the food fortification. So addition of key micronutrients, vitamins and minerals in staple foods. So very clearly, we took 5 staples: rice, wheat, oil, salt, and milk, because these are consumed by all populations, and at least in a week 3 times definitely these would be consumed, however poor a family is, and therefore this decision was considered. It was a cost-effective approach. It is a scalable, sustainable solution. It acts as a preventive measure so that we don't decline further, and widely accepted. There is no much of change of taste or color or odor in the texture of the food. So we could clearly address iron deficiency anemia, vitamin A, iodine, and growing concern of vitamin D deficiency, which we are seeing nowadays across the country. So there was a consensus built up done by co-creating the policy by the government from the Prime Minister's office, and various meetings were conducted across India in a zone-wise manner, and multiple situations were addressed because various states, various regions were taken into consideration, because the kind of food which we eat across the state is very varied and it is not the same type of food. So everybody had to be sensitized, everybody had to be told what is the plan of government and how we are doing this. And then the regulations were designed. So the regulations were gazetted. So the range for minimum and maximum micronutrients were decided. The levels were kept adjusted to provide 30 to 50% of the RDA so that it does not cross the limit or bring any toxicity. Bioavailable sources which are easy to fortify was chosen. Only plant sources were used for vitamin D. Vanaspati fortification, which would create fat and trans fat, was removed, and transition time was given till 1st July 2019 before the enforcement starts. So when these are done, this is a part of FSSAI's work. They are the regulators, and government gazette has been rolled out with approval of all scientists and ICMR and NIN. And these ranges were decided, how much to fortify, what to fortify. As I said, 5 staples were decided to fortify. And these 5 very clearly health claims were discussed, what would be the impact which would come. So milk and oil for vitamin A, where it prevents, vitamin A prevents night blindness, D supports strong bones. Rice and wheat flour, we had iron, folic acid, and vitamin B12. So here there are 3 vitamins which are taken into consideration in minerals, and another 2 in milk and oil. Iron to fight anemia, folic acid for fetal development, double fortified salt for iron and iodine, and vitamin B12 for good nervous system, iodine for rapid and normal growth, and addressing goiter. So there was a logo design. If you take up any fortified food products right now, if you take up any oil products, that is easy for you to see. It will be having a +F logo, and that means that has been fortified with the respective nutrients which has been approved by FSSAI. So the logo was decided, and it stated that Sampurna Poshan Swasth Jeevan means you have good nutrients that will bring you good health. So the +F logo was designed and that was implemented. Then directives were issued by various ministries. Ministry of Human Resource Development issued an order that there was an order in 2011, and that order got revoked in 2017, that all the states will be using fortified flour and fortified edible oil and double fortified salt under MDM, because that is the largest program and the safety net program for which address our children of India. So we had that as the first directive. The second was from the Ministry of Women and Child Development, and the order was issued in 2019. This order also was there in 2011, re-evoked in 2017, and then in 2019 once again, and directing the states to use all fortified food products in the ICDS system. Then we had the public distribution system, and this order again was distributed by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs and using target promoted fortified oil, and that is what the public distribution system carried out further. So these orders were from various ministries, and then we looked at the common consumption which is being done by all populations. So in India, at least one time everybody would eat at least 100 grams of rice, 50 to 100 grams of cooked rice. And that is where the concern came in, that we will fortify rice across the country. And then we looked at what are the strategies, what did other countries do, and we found that from 1930, countries were doing various technologies: parboiling, coating, dusting, extrusion, hot and warm extrusions. And some of the countries also mandated these programs. When I say mandated, that means strictly everybody has to follow. It becomes a mandatory practice. So various technologies were available, and people used social safety net programs, mandatory legislation, voluntary fortification. That is, somebody wants to do, they can do. Somebody doesn't want to do, they need not to. Workplace benefit programs, pilot projects, etc. were carried out. And that was what we looked at across the globe. Then we looked at what is the level of rice consumption across the globe. So the next slide shows you in a slightly orangish color ones, where more than 75% of the population across the globe are consuming rice at one given point of time. So the Prime Minister took a call after listening to all these scientific evidences, saying that we would give through our public distribution system that various schemes will provide rice to vulnerable segment, and this will be fortified throughout the country and will be done by 2024 for entire India. And we had various programs which has been worked out right from 2003, where we had Ultra Rice. In 2012, we made a cost-effective blending solutions with fortified rice kernels. In 2016, FSSAI supported for technical partnerships. 2017, we had advocacy from public distribution system, and then we improved our technologies by 2021, and now we are much better and able to take it up further. So we also looked at what is WHO talking about. So we followed the WHO guidelines in India, and we found that fortification with rice alone or in combination with other micronutrients improves iron status by reducing risk of iron deficiency by 35%, and the iron HP improvement by 2 grams per DL in a population. So in approximately even in 6 months of time, if you improve 2 grams per DL in India, considering all sorts of impact, we still would say that we are achieving towards that region. So the standards for fortification was based on that calculation of 2 grams per DL rice. And this is the slide which is showing you what was the level of fortification implemented. So iron, to use as ferric pyrophosphate, we have 2 salts, ferric pyrophosphate and sodium ion EDTA. Folic acid, vitamin B12. These were 3 first mandatory ones. It is a must. Whoever fortifies rice has to add these 3 definitely. and quantities and levels are mentioned. Then an option is given for zinc, vitamin A, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and pyridoxine. That is additional. If anybody wants to do, they can do. So these standards are already worked out. Then ICMR carried out a study with 6 states across the country, all borders with Gujarat, Maharashtra, Telangana, Himachal Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, and they looked at various types of rice which was being consumed by all populations. So because each state has a different type of rice which they make and procure, and those rice were looked up. 9 referral laboratories were assigned to make the fortified rice, make the FRK or the premix which we use, and those premixes are tested in NABL accredited labs, and this has been completely taken care, and a revised SOP has been issued in 2023 to have an acceptable ratio, blending ratio, and that's how the whole situation was considered. We also had, through the health department, Anemia Mukt Bharat program, which was running in all medical institutions to have a 6x6x6 strategy, where we have iron folic acid supplementation tablets, we have periodic deworming which is happening, then intensified behavioral change communication so that people consume regularly the iron tablets which are given, testing of anemia using digital methods in any public system, public health center, mandatory provision of folic acid, and addressing non-nutritional deficiencies and causes are the ones which were addressed, and expected that a 3% per year reduction in anemia has to happen. Keeping all these programs together in mind, the Anemia Mukt Bharat program, as well as the public distribution system, which has been there, the WFPs conducted a statewide survey to understand what is happening with India once this rise was rolled out. So there was a phase-wise rollout for India. Phase 1 was to cover ICDS and PM Poshan by March 2022, 17.5 lakh metric ton. Phase 2 was phase 1 plus the TPDS and the OWS with 291 aspirational districts who were in high burden, with TPDS 106.25 lakh metric tons and ICDS and PM Poshan 29.58 lakh metric tons. They made the fortified rice distributed across the country. Phase 3 was phase 2 plus remaining districts. All districts got implemented by April 2023 and completed by April 2024. The infrastructural support from 21, we had 20 NABL accredited labs. And in 2023, it was 45 labs which will test for FRKs, 21 labs for FRKs and 10 labs for premix facilities. So we also looked at the quality control, quality assurance part of what we are making for all the populations. So we had these NABL accredited labs, and 2,690 rice mills had the blending infrastructure. In 2023, it became 21,000 rice mills. And in 21, we had 34 FRK manufacturers. In 2023, we have 800 FRK manufacturers. So we can say we are progressing, and the number of states also increased, 33 states with total blending capacity of 215.36 lakh metric tons of fortified rice to be rolled out across India. So now the availability of food is ensured. Availability of good nutrients, at least 3 nutrients mandatory, 2 nutrients through oil, and 2 through salt has been taken care completely. So this is where the NFHS was enacted, and the program of NFSA got implemented as a benefit of the population. So we rolled this out, so it was not very easy said and done program, and it had its own up and downs, political interference, other interferences which were there, and the rice fortification handbook was released so that at all levels people can access this. This is available online, and this can be taken as a handbook for everybody to have a ready reference, and this was launched for in the public interest. So this is where the government took the further initiatives, and the public distribution ministers and secretaries were involved in this. So just the last part of the slides, where just to give you the results, what WFP did, they designed a study design with timeline, and methodology was found out. So they looked at Chandoli district, which is in Odisha, and that was the worst affected place in India. And methodology was finalized in 2021, and July 2023 to August 2023, the inline data collections happened, and baseline was NFHS 5 survey, and the pilot project was from 2019 to 2021. And the end line was by NFHS 5 aligned, and that's how the program was connected to Government of India to roll out and see what is really happening. So there, what was observed was regular access and frequent consumption of fortified rice. Target public distribution system was in full-fledged. Fortified rice was taken by people 13.9 kgs per month, wheat 10.6 kgs, pulses 5 kgs. This is the consumption. And the household average consumption was fortified rice, and the TPDS was 4.8 days per week. Regular rice was taken 3.1 days per week. All these are through domestic production and domestic systems which are available. And 39% household consumed fortified rice daily, 34% household consumed fortified rice 3 to 4 times a week. And overall, we could say that 4.8 times per week was the average consumption. So these were the results which were given to understand that we are improving our nutrition security, and that is where the programs were looked at. Midday meal, ICDS, children under 36 to 59 months, pregnant women, lactating women. These were covered. So school children, 525 schools were looked at, and integrated service developments were seen for 105 units. Children were looked at, which was about 59 children in each unit, pregnant women 49 in each unit, and lactating women 27. Now, all of them gave us varied results, but on an average, we can say the rice consumption was improved 66%. So 32 to 66%, and wheat was from 14 to 81, pulses 21 to 74, and vegetables 17 to 78. So this is where we had the PM Poshan rolling out and the results of the PM Poshan program. The favorable acceptance of fortified rice was checked by the sensory parameters for appearance, color, texture, smell, and taste. And the red ones which you are seeing is bad, and the beige color is neutral, and light green is good. So for appearance, 70% of people approved the appearance. 68% said color was not a problem. 70% said texture was all right. 65% said no difference in smell. 71% said no difference in state, in the taste. So that means it was acceptable for most of the people. What we looked at the anemia, what we found was significant reduction in prevalence of anemia in the target groups. We can see children 65% to 58%, which is 7.5% changes. Adolescent girls 39.3%, boys 27.1%. Not much of change seen there. A decline of 8 percentage points in all women aged 15 to 49, 48 to 40%. decline of anemia in men, 4.6 percentage points. So the final recommendations which came is continued education and awareness is needed, where implementation, focus, awareness campaigns need to be conducted, community outreach, workshops, educational sessions, IEC components to be given to the people, both the functionaries as well as beneficiaries under Poshan Abhiyan, and that needs to be strengthened. Then strengthening the training programs for millers, FCI officials, and other technologies to be improved. Revisions were to be disseminated. Infrastructures were also need to be strengthened. So more NABL labs and more samples to be done. So the conclusion says adequate evidence of rice fortification helped us to improve iron status. We need to scale this up and we need more research and more behavioral change communication for the population is needed. So the benefits for consuming is that regular consumption of micronutrients, fortified staples will help us to bring betterment 25 to 30% in the requirement of micronutrients, thereby having nutrient security per se, along with food security. And these are highly bioavailable nutrients. Regular consumption is a must. This slide is just to show you, the next one is just to show you what are the open market availability of those foods which are there and how that will help everybody to go and procure. You need to just see the Plus F logo. So you have all these are fortified food products which are available publicly in the market. So finally, coming to the last slide, what can be done? A more coordinated, informed, restrained policy needs to be there. All government needs to be under coordinated policies and actions. Global food markets need to have functional, less disruptive trade interventions. Importance of market and transparency, timely information needs to be reaffirmed. Robust institutional and coordination mechanisms will make a good difference. Balancing immediate relief and structural reforms will help us to understand our food systems and price hikes in a better way. So these are our future. So let us join hands to provide good health, improve quality of life to all. Let us eat right. Let us eat fortified. Thank you very much. You are most welcome to come to Vadodara anytime. And I would be happy to welcome and I would be happy to address any queries which you have. Thank you for inviting me. This is my alma mater. So this is the Maharaja Sayajirao University where I have graduated partially for my master's and my PhD. I owe all my growth over here. All my queries to be addressed to sirinair@gmail.com. Thank you so much for having me. Over to you. All my queries to be addressed to sirinair.
Can't access it. Camera access. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. What happened? The transmission stopped?
Yeah, we have a feedback of a student, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Kamala Priya from second PG. Ma'am,
Right.
we already know about what is food security, but you gave me a real picture of the food security, what is happening in around the India. But we also get the information about the National Food Security Act, ma'am. We can get many information through this session. The usual and nice session, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do they have any queries? Then I can address any queries if they have.
No worries, ma'am. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Sorry for the inconvenience caused by the technical glitch, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the profound inputs on NFSA, National Food Security Act, and its importance in achieving zero hunger. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. At this moment, I request Dr. M. Angel, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Home Science, to express our gratitude to Dr. Sirimavu Nair.
Enter his gate with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. Psalm 104. It's my prerogative pleasure to propose the oath of thanks on this special occasion. I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Secretary, Dr. Sister Ignatius Mary, and our most respected Principal, Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, for their support and encouragement for organizing this event. I extend my thanks to our dynamic Vice Principals for their constant support for our conference. I thank the Deans and IQC coordinators for their encouragement. I thank the HOD, Dr. S. Shanti, for her meticulous care in organizing this event. Now, I'm most grateful to Dr. Sirimavu Nair, Scientist and Chair, Nutrition and Fortification, FSSAI, New Delhi, for her gracious presence and enlightening our minds through your speech on the NFSA addressing hunger and poverty. Ma'am, your speech on number of peoples affected by hunger will surpass 840 million in 2030 is quite alarming. A 10% hike in people or more insecure to food triggers us to researches related to food security. A healthy diet is out of reach for 2.6 billion people in the world wide was highly remarkable, ma'am. Ma'am, your speech on how overall inflation and food price inflation and strategies to ensure food nutrition security was quite germane. The double burden of malnutrition in India makes us to realize where we are and has created a spark in the young minds. Ma'am, you have emphasized a spark in the young minds to take steps further. You have emphasized the steps taken by the government to eradicate hunger, and your words were thought-provoking and have turned the young minds from ignorance to elegance and to take a step forward towards the need of the hour. Once again, I thank you, ma'am. I thank the organizing secretaries for their efforts I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to the faculties of the 3D and Research Department of Home Science for their continuous support throughout the program. I thank all the participants from various institutions for their gracious presence both online and offline throughout these days. I extend my sincere thanks to the faculties of the Department of Visual Communication for their efforts in visualizing the events. I thank the technicians and the non-teaching staff members for their cooperation to make the program successful. Last but not the least, I thank all the young minds, the student force of our department for their energetic and joyful support towards the success of the event. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for expressing your gratitude. We will have our usual break for 15 minutes and everyone are asked to assemble inside the jury hall sharp within 11:10 without any further delay.
Thank you, ma'am, for being with us. And with this, we close this online event, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good day to all of you. Bye-bye.